Broadcasting from beautiful, tropical Vero Beach, Florida, it's Money Nation with Ed Gardner.
Morning and welcome to Money Nation. Today's special guest is Joe Cunningham, Worldview Capital. Joe, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Ed. How you doing, buddy?
Incredible. Hey, so let's talk NCAA basketball since we've been doing that every week.
Yeah.
What a weekend. I mean,
well,
what great games.
Another barn burner.
UConn looking strong.
Wow.
My Albany boy, Andre Jackson Jr. went to Albany Academy. My son went to Albany Academy same time. He's playing great, and the whole team is playing great. Hawkins can just shoot the lights out. Their center is a beast.
Man among boys, that guy.
I mean, they beat every team by 20 points. I don't remember the last time that's happened.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of the Huskies?
It's been an impressive run, and they're my team, from here on in. But I tell you, I do have a bit of a rub with the weekend. So I was yesterday on Sunday, I was at the gym, and I'm going through the paces, and I see I'm watching the game, but we're getting close to the end of the San Diego Creighton game. And I go, whoa, okay, great. I'm going to go over and jump on the treadmill right in front of the screen and watch it. So there's a minute 47 left when I get on the treadmill, and I get the treadmill going. So I'm just kind of walking fast up a hill. And by the time that game ended, 15 minutes had gone by on the treadmill. It took them 15 minutes to get through in a minute and 47 seconds of basketball. Timeout. No, I take a timeout. Oh, let's review the play. What about this? Did you see that? It just went on and on. I was getting frustrated, I tell you. Then, the ball at the end. And
you're going like, I want the game to end before I stop jogging here. And, and you had to stop jogging, get off the treadmill, right?
Totally. That was my thing. I'll just keep running till the game ends. And I'd already ran when I got to the gym. I've already done that bit. So.
Yeah. And how about FAU? Florida Atlantic looking amazing. That's got to be everyone's underdog, especially in Florida. Although Miami's in there too. You got Miami, UConn. You got Florida Atlantic against San Diego State. I mean, who would have thought? What do we got? A 4 seed, 5 seed in UConn and Miami, and we got a 5 seed or 6 seed and a 9 seed.
Yeah.
I mean,
so Florida Atlantic, they play their home games. They're the Florida Atlantic Owls. They play their home games in a gym that holds 2,500 people. It's about the size of our high school gym these days. Yeah. And then the Owls, because they are on an owl sanctuary in Florida. So it's all new. I think they're going to get a new gym soon.
There was an article from the coach in the paper today about, in the Final Four, and someone asked him about, is he worried about the players being poached, the transfer portal? And he goes, they're already recruiting them. The people are already going after his best players. He's not even done playing yet. So that center, the tall center, they said he could play anywhere. And the guard, I think, is one of the best shooting guards in the country. But they look good. That'd be great.
It should be fun going into the weekend.
Florida Atlantic and UConn at the final. That'd be great. That
would be fantastic. Two big guys. Absolutely.
So other big news, end of last week, drone attack in Syria. You had an American contractor killed. We've had all kinds of drone warfare going on in the Ukraine, Russians and Ukraine going back and forth nonstop. Really the drone, you have attack drones, strike drones, kamikaze drones, reconnaissance drones. It's what war is becoming. It's nonstop every day. But this is the first American contractor or American, to be killed by a drone. 5 or 6 servicemen were injured. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first, I don't think people necessarily realize, because it's not on the front pages anymore, that we have 900 troops in northeast Syria. That's sort of that Kurdish sector of where the Iraq, Turkey, and Syria all come together. So it's still an active war zone, and at some point they've been poking the bear. The Iranian militias have been kind of coming at the American troops here and there, and it's the first time they killed somebody. And so we're gonna bloody some people up when that happens. There's no doubt. What's a little frustrating to me is we lack the agile mobility in that theater. When you see our convoys roll through the streets there, they're just big lumbering trucks making their way down with flags flying and everything. And I don't really understand the mentality there because I always think back, to the Toyota pickup truck with the machine gun on the back, just flying through the desert, And it seems like maybe we need a little bit more of that, a little less lumbering through the center of town with the flag flying. And but look, those guys are over there. Those bases are largely for defensive purposes for the Kurds, logistical support for the Kurds, and and there's a Christian group there as well, and intelligence gathering. That's what we're doing over there. And I always thought, to be honest with you, that when the Ukraine war started, that the U.S. should be doing the same thing to the Russian troops in the western part of the country. Don't let that. Don't let them off the hook. Just give them a few left jabs once in a while and let them know that you're still there.
Yep.
And we have proxies too.
The whole defense of these drones is a big new subject. You see, it's a big issue again in the Ukraine war. But we'll be talking more about the drone attacks, how to defend against drone attacks. That's one of the biggest issues right now. Typically, right now, they will shoot their machine guns up in the air and they try to hit them. They can on a single drone use other weapons. They use microwave, and when they get close enough, that can block their sensors and they'll fall from the sky. But there's lasers going to be used. There's all kinds of things that are going to be that they're
short pulse lasers. Absolutely.
And I think for the World Cup, they had a couple companies in there to provide a microwave protection. So again, that only hits when, again, I don't know the exact numbers, but I would imagine like within a couple 100 yards or quarter mile, that will disable the drone sometimes. But a lot of times you don't have microwave wherever like a truck driving around the Humvee driving around the desert would. Let's talk about TikTok. TikTok. Everyone knows TikTok. Their kids are on TikTok. I don't use TikTok. A lot of my friends do. Everyone use TikTok, but I don't think most of our listeners or most people in general in the world know how big TikTok is. I mean, TikTok is, I think, is bigger than all other social media combined. Joe,
that's right.
Tell us about TikTok.
So that's where the challenge is going to be. They're not going to be. So they roughed that guy up good last week in the congressional testimony.
That was good. He took it pretty good. He was pretty solid.
He's a pretty solid guy. He's Singaporean. He's married to a Taiwanese woman. He served in the Singaporean army. He went to Harvard. He's a quality guy, and he just got. And I wonder, frankly, if that was a kind of waspy sort of guy from the Northeast, if he would have gotten roughed up the way that guy did. But they came after him. It's a unifying issue across the aisle, right? That's a one bipartisan issue. These guys, they hate TikTok.
First time you're seeing that.
Yeah. So what I think is going to happen is they're going to move on a path as if they're going to ban it. I don't know if they can, right? And the Chinese are going to resist, and then they're going to spin it off. Okay, at some point, the company's going to be worth too much to lose that much market. So the Chinese will just sell it, and it could be worth $500 billion. I mean, that would be its market cap, right? So I would expect a year from now, and I'll write this down, TikTok will be a public company in the U.S. with U.S. compliance and U.S.-based servers and U.S.-based board of governance and all that good stuff. So what is it? March something, late March.
2024, you're saying?
Yeah, March 2024. TikTok.
We'll have to put that on our target list for Joe's predictions.
Right.
March.
Get me in on that IPO, okay?
I'm going to put you in there right now. March 24, TikTok public.
But boy, that was pretty fun to watch because that guy was just getting grilled. Man.
It was. I thought he had some pretty good answers. He wouldn't answer anything. It's like, how much money do you make? We can't talk about that. And I'm sure he makes a lot of money. How old is that guy? How old is he? 35?
Well, he's older than he looks. I mean, but he is still pretty young. I think he was at Harvard in like 2022 or something like that. So he's got
to be real young then.
Yeah, he's pretty young. And he served, as I say, in the Singaporean army, and that he was in the technology intelligence field. And I think he had a pretty good rank. And look, the servers are at Oracle, right? In Singapore. The company is run by a Singaporean guy. There's an engineers, and you can't give the guarantees that the congressional committee members were looking for.
Yeah, they were pissed.
Something's going to give.
They didn't think he answered the questions enough. No. That's a lot of, you could hear them. They were all complaining.
Yeah. No, good stuff.
Yep. Okay. Rate hike.
Yeah.
Rate hike, 25 basis points.
Yep. That's it. I'm calling it. It's over. We're not going to hike anymore. Yeah. We're going to see inflation by the end of the year. Inflation will be at 3%. Okay. The rate hikes have worked their magic. Not that we needed them, because the other side of the equation is the supply chain. And I found a new index. Oh, I love this. I love me a good index, Ed. And this is the this one had not been around for a while, but going through some of the New York Fed sites, I found the Global Supply Chain Pressure Index, which did indeed spike. Right? I know, right? Where did this go? So it did indeed spike, but now it's so it had it's only about 2 years, maybe 3 years old. It has a baseline of 100, and it's up to in the 120s, 130s for during that whole period. And now it's under 100. It's like 96, so 0.96 actually. So the baseline is 1. It's at 0.96. So and that is it. The composition is the Baltic Freight Index, the cost of a container, insurance. It takes in a bunch of different stuff. It scores it, spits out a number, and there you have it. So supply chain is easing up. It's
getting cheaper. Is that tells us it's getting cheaper? But
that's right.
Okay.
Yep. And the source materials as well are becoming more plentiful. The Fed's now hiked rates to a reasonable degree that to where I think we'll see inflation down around 3% by the end of the year. But the big question is 3% enough? Now the Fed keeps saying 2%. We're not abandoning 2%. We're marrying 2%. I don't think they are. I think 3% will be the new 2%, and we'll see a little bit more volatility and a little bit more price movement in and around those numbers. But that's a sign of a vibrant economy. When you got zero interest rates and no inflation, you're doing something wrong, and we were doing a lot wrong for a long time. So we want to see a little bit more give and take there.
Joe, we're going to take a quick break here.
Sure.
Remember, listeners, any questions at all about your portfolio? Any questions about the show? Any questions about anything we've talked about? Feel free to give me a call at 518-255-8854. We'll be right back.
All opinions expressed by Ed Gardner and or his guests on the Money Nation show are solely Ed Gardner's and or his guests' opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Cutter & Company or any of their affiliates. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Ed Gardner and or guests as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only in as an expression of their opinion. Ed Gardner's and his guests' opinions are based on information he considers reliable, but neither Cutter & Company nor affiliates and or subsidies warrant its completeness or accuracy, and it should not be relied upon as such. Always talk to your financial advisor before making such decisions.
Welcome back to Money Nation. Joe, any other final thoughts on the economy and that hike?
Yeah, sure, Ed. So the way I'm seeing things right now, again, I'm a big proponent that we're in the beginning of a virtuous cycle for economics worldwide. Asia's a bit of the outlier. They're doing great. Germany has raised their growth forecast. The European sector looks favorable as the dollar weakens. But we're in the States, we're kind of on this middle path between inflation and recession, and we're in a good space. So, I would encourage your investors or your listeners to, stay in the game, stay in stocks, stay in bonds, stay where you got to be. But, of course, contact your local wealth manager. But stay engaged, because we're in a good spot.
Oh, auto loans hit a 6-year high. Delinquencies, they've went from 5.8 on denial rate back in October to 9.1%. Less people being able to buy new cars, squeezing cost of credit. Loans, average loan, $40,000 on a new car.
It's a lot.
Your thoughts on this?
Well, I think $40,000 is a lot of debt for people to take on. First of all. Secondly, I'm actually in the market for a new car. I've promised my son the car I have, so I need something, and I wouldn't mind if look, I got good credit. If they could just come up with some more sensible programs, they'd probably get me. But they're becoming more selective, the car companies, on and the banks on who they give credit to and who they don't. And that ultimately is a good thing for the banks and for the finance providers, and not a great thing for the car companies. So there's a little push and pull there. We'll have to see which way it goes. And, obviously some of the car companies have their own finance arms, and but they having your car repossessed and having a financial mess on your hands, nobody wants that. So they're going to become more selective. There's no doubt about it.
Are you going to go for a new car? Or are you going to buy a used car, Joe?
Yeah, Ed, good question. If you buy a used car, it's cash, usually. And if you buy a new car, you tend to finance it. So, and this goes into the housing market as well.
You can finance used cars. You can, as long as they're like 5 years, 8 years old, you can get a bank loan on a used car.
You
but
can.
I know you're talking about mostly.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I've never leased a car in my life, and I'm thinking about it. But it's got to be the right ride. You know what I'm saying? It's and I'm in the 15th year of my midlife crisis, so maybe it's time that I
get yourself
really
a vet.
Embrace the opportunity. Get
like
myself
a Mustang or get a Camaro or something, Joe.
Yeah, I think a Mustang. Yeah, there you go. I like it. So not much weather in Minnesota.
You should be fiscal responsible and buy yourself like a Honda. I was looking at the Hondas the other day. Actually, I happened to be next to the lot, and I just looked at a couple of them. They're actually kind of nice looking. The Honda Accords, they're pretty cheap, not too bad. 32 grand, 30 grand for a new car.
Oh, that should get you a nice new car. Absolutely,
it's a nice new car for 30K. Sweden's pension, one of the biggest ones out there. Going back to the bank, we'll finish up on the bank blow up, but this Alcata fund, one of Sweden's biggest pension funds. These guys had First Republic Bank. They were behind that since 2019. Now, and they're lost because they started to bail when the thing started to crater. Well, first of all, I think, and the same with Silicon Valley, but they lost $900 million on First Republic Bank, the Sweden pension fund, and they lost $320 million on Silicon Valley. That's 3.2 billion kroner. For any Swedes out there, and 9.7 billion kroner on the First Republic. That's amazing.
It's real money.
$1.2 billion they had in 2 American banks. I mean,
that's you don't get to keep your job if you lose money like that. And we saw that.
My Lord.
We saw that with
amazing.
The Saudi guy, the Saudi sovereign wealth fund. They had a 9% stake in I think Silicon Valley Bank, and that guy resigned this morning. Who made that investment decision? Yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
But he's done.
I did see someone bought the assets this morning. First Citizens.
That's a bank.
Their stock was up on that. Did you see that? That stock. Now the SVB shareholders, they're toast, but there's some value there still for.
So what the Fed did is the Fed's in the deal, and they're in for a cut of the profits. So it's a little bit like 2008, where they had an equity position in these, like a preferred equity position in these companies, and they actually made money as the companies progressed. But this First Citizens is a bank worthy of keeping an eye on. They've made many acquisitions over the last few years, and they're becoming a big bank. So they're in a high growth mode, and they're getting a pretty sweetheart deal with SPV's assets. I think they're picking them off for pennies on it, not pennies on the dollar, but at a substantial discount.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Worth keeping an eye on.
Joe, crypto. We'll talk crypto here. Getting near the end here. You had influencers. You got all these influencers on Twitter and Facebook and whatnot, and they're sued for $1 billion. 6 or 7 of them. I don't really recognize their names, but that's on the heels of the Tom Brady and Gwyneth Paltrow, Madonna, and Giselle were sued also. Influenced on SBK, Sam Bankman-Fried. Now, today, tell us about this Binance. This is one of the biggest crypto exchange. It is the biggest crypto exchange out there. Tell us what's happening with that today.
Well, they got sued by the Commodities Trading and Futures Exchange Commission, CFTC. So they are the oversight arm for they're like the SEC for the commodities market. Okay. So what they have done, or what they are their supposition is that Binance was running a crypto exchange selling unregulated, unlicensed products to U.S. people, right? So if they say you can't do it, you can't do it. So their compliance guy was named, the CEO was named, and their ex-compliance guy was named in the lawsuit. So this is really about following the letter of the law with respect to U.S. regulations. So they were providing futures contracts on the to American people, so I have to call them to Americans on cryptos, and they weren't allowed to do that, and so they've been sued. And this is serious. This is, you could go to jail serious.
The exchange continues to operate. We did see Bitcoin was down $700 on down to 27,000. So not too crazy on the Bitcoin price.
And Bitcoin's had quite a run up. I mean, it was poised to have a bit of a break. Look, there's a guy out there. You talk about these influencers. There's this guy out there named Biaggi, I think it is, something to that effect. And he is betting that in like 90 days, 120 days, something like that, that Bitcoin will be close to like $1 million. It is something that preposterous. I'm not kidding it. In fact, I think it is $1 million. And he's betting like $1 million that it will be, and to some charity or something. And since then, because people listen to these guys and they're really nihilistic. I mean, they're end of days sort of guys that are, the U.S. Fed is going to crap out and hyperinflation and the world's coming to an end, and my opposite, right?
Right.
So that got a lot of action, a lot of price action from this guy, and people follow these influencers very much, and there is a whole universe in crypto out there of these people.
Now we could also see a little Bitcoin spike, also because the bank problems too. Problems with the dollars, problems with the bank. Yeah. That's why crypto had some legs here in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. But it's making Biaggi look good if he does have some kind of prediction that you're gonna have.
No doubt he's done the math, and if he can talk up crypto, $1 million that he pay out losing the bet doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Right?
Joe, any final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts that is, stay true, stay invested, stay true to the course, right? Happy days are ahead. We'll have some bumps on the road. I wasn't happy with Russia putting nukes into Belarus. That was disturbing. And we texted last week how the sideshow of the sideshow of the sideshow was being played out with submarines and battleships in the North Sea around the Norwegian.
The oil rigs. What you didn't finish up on that when we were chatting about that. What happened there with the Russian ships?
Look, the head of NATO is a Norwegian guy, and NATO is a Norwegian Norway is a NATO member. So Russia is just they're just playing some games, and they had their submarines out and some battleships that were cruising and kind of buzzing by the oil rigs. And people got nervous. So, the U.S. and the other NATO forces and Norway's got a lot of money. Their Army and Navy are very capable. They dispatched their people, and the U.S. dispatched ours. And now we're just sort of, playing a little cat and mouse or a little game of chicken in the North Sea. Water's cold. Be careful, boys.
Exactly. Hopefully it was just a little flexing of the bicep and nothing more than that.
That's it.
Joe, good talking to you. We'll talk to you again next week, hopefully. Remember, listeners, any questions at all, you can always feel free to give me a call at 518-255-8854. If you want to look at any previous interviews, always go to YouTube and just type in Money Nation channel. Thank you very much for being with us with Money Nation.